Today's Halo Infinite update has me pretty hopeful. Now don't get me wrong, it's not some huge update with a bunch of content obviously, but in today's update 343 does tackle a lot of the ongoing issues that the community has been pointing out for some time. In this video we're just going to go over the update, talk about how it could help the game, and hopefully we just see more of these updates in the upcoming months. As far as I'm aware, this isn't the big February update though, so that could still be on the way. With that said, let's hop right in. So as you guys are all aware, desync and the servers are one of the primary things that people complain about when they talk about Halo Infinite issues. This is caused by a whole slew of things, and 343 actually has written an entire article where if you want all of the nitty-gritty details on why desync happens, why you get shot around corners, and all that stuff, you can read it all here. We're not going to go over all the details here because it's a little bit over my head if I'm being honest with you, but we will talk about some of the things that they're doing to fix these, and we're also going to talk about another one of the big changes, and that is that GeoFiltering is now gone in Halo Infinite. So if you don't know what GeoFiltering is, I'll sum it up super quickly, even more quickly than how Unyshek did it in this post. Basically, GeoFiltering is blocking servers or forcing a specific server so that once you get into a match, the game is either forced to pick the specific server that you've selected, or you block specific servers, like say you block the whole region of Europe, the whole region of North America, etc, etc. This allowed individual players to force specific servers so that they would have better connections. As you can read though in Unyshek's example here, this was at the cost of the other people in the lobby, because the matchmaking system would first find the match, then have servers blocked. It wouldn't block the servers ahead of time and find you people that were also blocking servers. It would find a match with an optimal server in mind, and then if you had that server blocked, it would have to revert to whatever ones you had opened, and this would cause players to play on higher ping. Specifically, if you were a single European player or a single North American player in a lobby from the other region, if you were blocking that region's servers, you could force all other 7 people, even if they were all NA, onto an EU server, or vice versa the other way around, and this was a frustrating thing to experience. So basically now you won't be able to do that. If you were someone that had geo-filtered in the past, don't worry though, you're not getting banned or anything like that, but basically if you try and now search for games while still blocking servers, whether you did it through your files or through your router, you're going to receive a message saying no ping to our data centers detected, and so it's not going to let you search for a match. Once you remove your geo filters, the message is going to go away, and then you can continue playing matchmaking. Now this isn't the only change though to improve the connection in matches, and this second part is what I'm more excited about. Although I think having less people geo filtering probably will overall improve the matchmaking experience, because like I said, the game tries to find you a lobby with an optimal server in mind, so now it will be at least able to use that optimal server instead of possibly having it blocked. But to go along with no more geo filtering, 343 is also increasing the priority of low ping matches. They have also taken additional steps to ensure you have quality matches with players from your respected regions more often. So this will have a notable impact for players maybe in the lower population regions, especially in the off times, Australia, Asia, maybe even Europe, depending on what time you're playing. So hopefully this will keep the matches a little bit more regionalized, although if people are searching forever, obviously it's still going to throw you into a match, but hopefully overall this helps people have better connections in their matches. So in addition to all the changes that they're making today with prioritizing lower ping and prioritizing people in your region, 343 believes that they can create better and better matches over time. However, they are going to continue to evaluate this and see if additional means of improving the online experience, like the server selection features similar to MCC or search preferences similar to Halo 5, are something that Halo Infinite needs down the road. So we aren't getting those today or necessarily anytime soon, but they are continuing to evaluate these to see if they are needed. Now I really liked the server selection from MCC, so I do think it's a bummer that they're not kind of working on this actively, but if the games start to feel better than they currently feel, less people will probably be asking for this on a regular basis. So it's something we're just gonna have to wait and see a little bit, I think. Now this wasn't the only thing that came out today though. 343 also did an entire deep dive into desync, the servers, and everything like that. And like I said in the intro, we're not going to go into all the details on this one because it does get pretty technical. I'll basically just kind of explain some of the solutions to the issues we've been having. So the first issue is being shot and shooting people around corners. This is something that happens a lot in Halo Infinite, and basically to mitigate this, 343 thinks that by playing lower latency matches, it will also help with getting shot or shooting around corners. So the fixes we talked about previously, no geo filtering, priority of lower pings, priority to play with people in your region, it should all help this issue, and we'll have to see if it makes a notable improvement. Now the next issue 343 talks about is melee and shot red registration issues. This is another thing that you can experience a lot in Halo Infinite, whether it's blank melees or you punch them, it appears like you punch them. Sometimes you even hear the sound, but it does no damage. Or obviously the same thing with your shots. These are both issues that are pretty common when playing matchmaking. 343 has some initial improvements that should be landing in a future update. It's going to help with some of the factors that kind of determine these things, but they also advise all PC players in the meantime to set simulation quality to ultra in the settings, as this might help out a little bit. The CPU cost of this is also quite low, so it should be manageable on most PCs. If you are pretty technical, this has to do with determinism and bandwidth usage, so if you understand those kind of engineering terms, maybe it'll make sense why this will help out. They did say though that this is one of the top priority issues for the team, because if you can't trust your shots or melees to land, your whole Halo experience begins to suffer. So they know they still have some bugs here and are actively working to make sure they fix them as soon as possible. Next up is the issue with missing collision and melee phasing. So Halo Infinite does actually have player collision with enemies, although it is disabled with your allies. However, sometimes it can seem like you phase through people, especially when trying to melee someone, sometimes due to the latency to the server. They showed some pretty pictures here kind of showing what can happen due to latency, and to mitigate this, they're actively working on improvements to their player collision systems, especially during melee, given how important melee is to combat in Halo. They're going to share more in the patch notes as they resolve these issues. Any improvements that they make to latency also will help these issues. Next is the server to client desynchronization. So this is the desync that can result in your character kind of rubber banding. I've posted many clips of this on Twitter over the past month or so because it happens to me all the time, and hopefully this is something that they're working on. They've identified the issue along with some other cases where you can permanently desync, and they should have the fix deployed in upcoming builds. This is something I have my fingers really crossed for, as Halo Infinite has some of the worst rubber banding I've ever seen if you don't have a perfect connection, and hopefully this will mitigate some of that so it's not happening nearly as much. Along with that, they also did a little FAQ here at the bottom. They talk about how 4v4 matches run on 60Hz servers, BTB matches run on 30Hz tick rate servers, and then they talked a little bit about why theater films and observer mode aren't necessarily perfect reenactments of what happened in the live game. So this is due to latency compression that the server does to ensure your shots land correctly, but sometimes this means that in observer or theater mode will appear to miss shots, as this doesn't happen. They have future work planned that will perform the latency compensation when viewing a player in first person, but unfortunately due to the way the system works, third person in theater and observer will always be slightly off, and as the shooter has a higher latency, the more significant the error will appear. But hopefully this is something they'll improve on, especially in first person, as that's going to be a majority of what you want to view when you're watching a theater file or you're using the spectate mode to maybe watch a tournament. Anyways guys, that's going to do it for the updates. I'm pretty hopeful about these updates. They're nothing huge, but they're addressing some of the key core concerns that the community has had with the game outside of maybe hacking, and I think addressing these will go a long way towards players having better experiences when they play Halo Infinite. As always guys, if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Follow me over on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all those good things, and I'll see you all next time.